What if I told you the wealthiest people on earth don't just earn money, they own it? The top 1% don't work for a paycheck, they work for control. And if you let that truth sink in, it could change your life. Let's look at the real numbers. 75% of the richest people in the world are entrepreneurs. 15% are investors. 7% inherited their wealth. 3% are athletes, entertainers, or artists. And here's the kicker. 0% are employees who just earn a salary. That's not to say having a job is bad, but relying solely on a paycheck puts a ceiling on your financial potential. The common thread among the wealthy is simple. They own things that make money without their constant effort. They don't trade time for money. They trade ideas, capital, and skills for ownership. And that ownership builds wealth even while they sleep. Entrepreneurs own businesses. They don't just work in the business, they build systems that run with or without them. These systems generate income on autopilot, and over time, scale far beyond what any job could pay. Ownership here means freedom to choose how and when to work. Investors own assets, stocks, real estate, digital products, and more. Instead of working for money, their money works for them. They understand the power of compound growth. Every dollar becomes a seed that, when planted in the right asset, grows into a tree that bears fruit for life. Inheritors own trusts and legacies, passed down through strategic planning. You may not have inherited wealth, but you can create it. You can be the first in your family to build a foundation that outlives you. That's the long game. That's how real wealth becomes generational. Athletes, entertainers, and artists, they own rare, high-demand skills. But the smartest among them go further. They take that talent and turn it into brands, businesses, and ownership stakes. Fame fades. Ownership doesn't. So what do all these groups have in common? Ownership. They own income-generating systems, not just sources. That's the mindset shift that separates the top 1% from the rest of the world. If you want to manage your money like the wealthy, you have to stop thinking like a spender, or even just a saver, and start thinking like an owner. That means asking yourself, what can I build? What can I buy? What can I hold that will grow in value and eventually pay me back? Even if you're starting from zero, it begins with one small move. Maybe it's investing $50 a month. Maybe it's starting a side hustle. Maybe it's building an online brand. The point is, you earn to own. That's how the game is played at the top. Because at the end of the day, the rich don't just work for money. They make money work for them. And now you can too. So how can you start owning things like the 1%? It begins with a mindset shift and a simple rule called the 20-50-20-10 rule. This method isn't just for millionaires or finance experts. It's designed for anyone at any income level who wants to take control of their money and use it to build long-term wealth. Most people think the path to financial freedom is about earning more money, but that's only half the truth. The other half, the part that actually builds wealth, is how you manage what you make. This is where the 20-50-20-10 rule comes in. It's a practical blueprint that helps you divide your income with purpose, discipline, and ownership in mind. The first 20%, how to build wealth, like the 1%. If you're serious about becoming wealthy, you need to start thinking like the top 1%. And the first step is simple. Put the first 20% of your income toward growth. Not bills, not wants, not even savings. Growth. What is growth exactly? It's putting your money into things that make more money, also known as assets. These are the investments and skills that appreciate in value over time and generate income, even while you sleep. Unfortunately, most people do the opposite. They pay their bills, maybe save a little, then spend the rest on short-term pleasures, dining out, new gadgets, streaming subscriptions, and before they know it, the money's gone. Rinse and repeat, month after month. That's why they own nothing of value. Here's the harsh truth. The system is designed this way. We've normalized a lifestyle that keeps people rich for a week and broke by the end of the month. This paycheck-to-paycheck trap is modern-day slavery, disguised in comfort. Like slaves of the past, we work endlessly for the basics: food, water, shelter, but with one big difference. We've been sold the illusion of freedom. The house may be nicer, the clothes cleaner, the devices shinier, but the control? Still there. To break free, you must reclaim control over your money. And that starts with allocating 20% of your income to growth assets. Why 20%? Because 20% is powerful. It's enough to build wealth steadily, but small enough to be accessible for most income levels. And if you think you don't have that kind of money to invest, find it. Cut subscriptions, reduce lifestyle inflation, delay gratification. The earlier you start, the bigger your payoff. Consider this real-world example. John starts investing $200 per month at age 20. Edward waits until age 30 and invests $300 per month to catch up. Over 40 years, John contributes $96,000. Edward contributes $108,000. So Edward puts in more money. But John ends up with $1,260,000 because of compound growth. Edward, only $678,000. That's the magic of starting early. Time multiplies money. Where should you invest? Not all investments are created equal. Think of your options on a scale of risk, from conservative to aggressive. 1. Index funds, low risk, long-term growth. Start here. Index funds, especially ones tracking major markets like the S&P 500, are one of the most proven, reliable ways to build long-term wealth. You don't have to pick winning stocks. Just invest consistently and let the market work for you. You won't get rich overnight, but you'll get wealthy over time. 2. Real estate or REITs. Real estate can offer both appreciation and rental income. If owning physical property isn't realistic, REITs, real estate investment trusts, let you invest in real estate through the stock market with much less hassle. 3. High-income skills, best ROI for beginners. Not all growth is in the stock market. Investing in yourself is often the highest return move you can make. Skills like copywriting, coding, digital marketing, sales, or financial analysis can increase your earning potential dramatically. These skills open doors to side income, promotions, or even your own business. 4. Individual stocks, higher risk. You might be tempted to chase hot stocks. While there's potential for big wins, there's also big risk, especially if you haven't done your research. If you're investing here, do it with a small portion of your portfolio and only after your foundation is built. 5. Alternative investments, moonshots only. Crypto, NFTs, startups. These are high-risk, high-reward bets. They can make you rich or broke. Use these sparingly and only after you've secured your core investments. Think of them as lottery tickets with better odds, but still risky. Start smart, index funds, plus skills. If you're unsure where to begin, start with index funds and skill building. They're proven, simple, and effective. Once you're comfortable, expand. But investing is only part of the puzzle. How you invest is just as important as where you invest. Maximize returns with smart accounts. In the US, you have access to tax-advantaged accounts that can supercharge your returns. Use them. 1. Roth IRA, pay tax now, and enjoy tax-free growth forever. Once inside a Roth IRA, your investments grow and can be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. It's one of the best wealth-building tools available. 2. 401k. This account is employer-sponsored and uses pre-tax income, meaning you reduce your taxable income today. The money grows tax-deferred and you pay taxes when you withdraw later in retirement. Always take your employer's match. It's free money. If they match 3 to 6%, that's an instant return on your investment. Automate it. Don't just open these accounts, fund them. Automate monthly transfers. Ideally, have money sent straight from your paycheck. That way, investing becomes a habit, not a choice you have to think about. Start simple. Use a 3-fund portfolio strategy. 1. U.S. stock index fund, like the S&P 500. 2. International stock fund, like iShares MSCI World. 3. Bond fund, like iShares USD Treasury 7 to 10 year. This mix gives you diversified exposure to global markets and balanced growth. Your specific allocation depends on your risk tolerance and age. Aggressive, young investors, 90% stocks, 10% bonds. Moderate, balanced plan, 80% stocks, 20% bonds. conservative, closer to retirement, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. The younger you are, the more risk you can take because you have more time to recover from market dips. But whatever your plan, set it and forget it. Don't try to time the market. Consistency beats timing. Next is the 50% rule, essentials only, not ego. Now that you've allocated 20% of your income to growth, the next big chunk, 50%, goes to what keeps you alive and functioning, essentials. But let's be clear, essentials are not the same as lifestyle preferences. Essentials are things you truly need to survive and operate day to day, not things that cater to your ego, social image, or boredom. A lot of people earning six figures still live paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because they confuse luxury with necessity. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you waste. So what actually counts as essential? Rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, electricity, water, basic internet, insurance, health, car renters, transportation, gas, public transit or car maintenance, basic clothing and hygiene products. That's it. Essentials are the foundation, not the finish line. They're what you need to stay alive, not impress your neighbors or Instagram followers. That daily $12 smoothie, the gym you haven't gone to in months, or the 5 streaming services you don't use? Not essential. Your goal should be to keep essential spending at 50% or less of your income. Sadly, most people go way over. Many spend 60-70% thinking it's necessary, when really it's just unfiltered spending disguised as needs. To win this game, you need to keep your lifestyle lean while you grow your income, not inflate your expenses to match it. This discipline builds your financial buffer, accelerates your growth, and keeps you free from the stress of living on the edge. Shrink the 2 biggest expenses, housing and transportation. The 2 most expensive categories for most people are housing and transportation. Master these, and you free up a massive amount of your income. 1. Housing. Negotiate your rent. Many landlords would rather lower rent slightly than lose a reliable tenant. Try house hacking. Rent out a room or live in part of a property while renting out the rest. If needed, live with roommates or family temporarily to stack cash and build stability. 2. Transportation. Avoid flashy cars. Buy a used, fuel-efficient, reliable vehicle. A car is a tool, not a status symbol. If possible, ditch the car altogether and rely on public transit, biking, or car-sharing apps. Use rules, not willpower. Controlling your essential spending isn't about constant sacrifice. It's about building habits and systems that guide your decisions automatically. Here are 3 powerful rules to follow. The 7-day rule. Want to buy something? Wait 7 days. If you still want it, it's probably not just an impulse. Value versus brand. Ask, am I buying this for value or just for the label? Choose value every time. Life improvement filter. Ask, will this actually improve my daily life in a meaningful way? If yes, it's worth consideration. If not, skip it. The next 20%, build unshakable stability. If the first 20% of your income goes to growth, building your future, then the next 20% must go to something equally important, stability. This is your financial safety net, and without it, even the best growth plan can collapse at the first sign of trouble. I learned that lesson the hard way. A few years ago, I took out a loan to buy a car. Not long after, the transmission failed. It was an expensive repair, and I had nothing saved to fall back on. That single unexpected cost derailed my finances for a full year. Not because I had a money problem, but because I had a stability problem. The truth is, most people don't struggle because they earn too little. They struggle because they're one emergency away from disaster. One surprise medical bill, one car breakdown, or one layoff, and their entire budget crumbles. That's why you need a stability fund. It gives you breathing room, protects your investments, and prevents debt from dragging you down. How much should you save? Start by writing down your essential monthly expenses: rent or mortgage, food and groceries, utilities, transportation, insurance, basic phone, internet. Let's say these add up to $1,500 per month. Multiply that by 5. That gives you a goal of $7,500 for your stability fund. This isn't an investment. It's insurance against chaos. It's peace of mind. Each month, commit 20% of your income to building this fund. Keep contributing until you reach your target. Even if it takes a year or two, every dollar brings you closer to freedom from panic. Where should you store it? A stability fund must follow 3 golden rules. 1. It must be accessible. You need to be able to get to it quickly, in 24 hours or less. That rules out long-term investments like stocks or real estate. 2. It must be risk-free. This is not money you want in the stock market. You can't afford for your emergency fund to lose value when you need it most. 3. It must earn interest. Let your savings grow on their own, even if slowly. A high-yield savings account is ideal. Look for accounts offering around 4-5% APY. Many online banks offer this with no fees and same-day withdrawals. How to build it faster? Use a few simple tactics to speed things up. Paycheck sweep. Automate 20% of every paycheck directly into your savings account. When it's out of sight, it's out of mind, and you're more likely to stay consistent. The replacement promise. If you ever need to dip into your stability fund, replace it immediately. Treat it like borrowed money. Save by spending. Use roundup apps that deposit spare change from purchases into savings, or cashback cards that let you stash rewards instead of spending them. Once you've reached your target, congratulations. You've built a cushion that most people never have. From here, you can start redirecting that 20% into growth investments or the final 10% rewards bucket. The final 10%, guilt-free rewards for a life worth living. You've learned how to put 20% of your income into growth, 50% into essentials, and 20% into stability. That covers your financial foundation. But there's one more piece of the puzzle, and it's the one most people forget. The last 10% is for rewards. This is your permission to enjoy life, without guilt, without shame, and without sabotaging your financial progress. Think of this 10% like a cheat meal on a clean diet. It doesn't ruin the plan. It keeps it sustainable. It gives you something to look forward to. It fuels your motivation, your happiness, and your mental well-being. Yet many people skip this category completely. They think rewarding themselves is selfish or irresponsible. But when you constantly deny yourself joy, you don't become stronger. You burn out. You start resenting the process. And eventually, you give up entirely. So let's be clear. Intentional enjoyment is part of a successful financial plan. What counts as a reward? Rewards aren't about flashy things that gather dust. They're about experiences that feed your soul, strengthen your relationships, and remind you why you're working so hard in the first place. Here are a few meaningful ways to use this 10%. Vacations and weekend getaways. Travel doesn't have to be expensive to be refreshing. A few days away can reset your mind and recharge your energy. Hobbies. Whether it's painting, music, gaming, photography, or sports, hobbies are healthy outlets that spark creativity and joy. Social experiences. A nice dinner with friends, concert tickets, or hosting a gathering. These build connection, which is essential to long-term happiness. Thoughtful gifts. Giving is just as rewarding as receiving. Use this fund to surprise someone with something meaningful. It deepens your bonds and adds richness to life. The Joy Jar system. To make this work, set up a separate account just for this 10%. Call it your Joy Jar, Fund, or anything that reminds you of what it's for. Each month, automatically transfer 10% of your income into this account, just like you do with your investments or savings. Here's the rule. Only use this money for joy. Don't dip into it for bills. Don't borrow from it for emergencies. And don't feel guilty when you use it. It's there to be spent, intentionally. When you create boundaries around your joy spending, something amazing happens. You enjoy your money more, not less. You avoid impulse buys because you know you've already carved out space for real joy. You don't feel deprived or overwhelmed. You feel in control. And that's the full 20-50-20-10 rule. A simple, powerful framework to take control of your money and build a life of freedom and purpose. 20% for growth, to build wealth and escape the paycheck to paycheck trap. 50% for essentials, to cover your basic needs without overindulging. 20% for stability, to protect yourself from financial emergencies. 10% for rewards, to enjoy life, stay motivated, and avoid burnout. This isn't just a budgeting method, it's a lifestyle shift. It puts you in charge of your money instead of letting money control you. When followed consistently, it helps you build assets, maintain peace of mind, and actually enjoy the journey. If this helped bring clarity to your financial goals or inspired you to think differently about money, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more practical strategies on wealth, freedom, and living smarter. Let's grow together, one decision at a time.